welcome to the final episode of the guide. Hope everything's been helpful so far. This is the quick wrap-up and parting advice, because by now some of the stuff I've said should sound redundant by the time I've got around to saying it for the 5th time across different episodes. And you should be ready to just go out after this one. It's the most advice I can give you without spoilers. And the first thing we're covering in this episode are these little blue boxes. You'll find them all over the place, usually with something already in them. And these out here, I believe, reset over time. I think I had one playthrough where it was glitched and it spawned ammunition and weapons every time I entered the zone, or that area, not the zone in general. But in certain areas, like Sidorovich's bunker, you'll basically know them because there's a trader nearby. There are these boxes. These are your personal stashes, which means you can put as much stuff in there as you want, and it will always be there. In later games, it actually says your personal stash. And they're very handy. They're usually somewhere, because a trader's nearby, they're somewhere safe. And the reason that's very handy is because it's possible, as I mentioned in the stash video, to empty a stash and use that stash for yourself. And that's great if you're horribly overloaded and you absolutely have to drop something so you can move, or so you don't get shot to death or mauled by dogs. The personal stashes that the game gives you, I can think of 3 for a fact and 2 other possible personal stashes. Those are useful because they're always going to be there. You don't have to worry about looting someone's body and that was their stash that they used. But they can be inconvenient, especially late into the game, or if you don't go back to that area. Like right now in the cordon, if you're not planning on going anywhere for a while, you can use that stash for as long as you want. Or if you find something really cool in the cordon but you don't have a use for it because you can't get the ammo for it, or because it's too heavy, you can put it in that stash and it will be there whenever you come back for it. The reason I would say don't use the one in Sidorovich's bunker is because you're very quickly going to never come back here. You come back here once as part of the story, and that's it. That's the only time you're ever forced to come back. And the personal stashes you get other places are generally more convenient. And just the parting advice I have for you is, quite frankly, get the fuck out of the cordon. Just as soon as you can, get out. There's not a lot here. There's even less that's valuable. You might be able to scavenge ammunition off the military, but you're not going to make any serious headway. There's a number of ways to get out of the cordon, despite the fact that there's only one exit. There's one exit out. There's not a lot valuable here outside what you might find in a stash, and off the top of my head, I can't think of too many stashes in the cordon that are valuable. So, honestly, as soon as you get to a point where you're comfortable crossing the embankment, or you've crossed the embankment 2 or 3 times and you're fairly certain you're not going to get anything else, get out of the cordon, either do missions in the garbage or just progress with the main story. But you want to make it out of the garbage. You want to finish the job you get from Sidrovich right after whatever happens with Nimble. After you give him that flash drive, the next job he gives you, as soon as you can do it, cash it in, and set up shop where you cash it in. Set up shop in the bar. It's a nice central location, and it's a place that for a while you're gonna keep going back to. So to me it just makes more sense to not use the stash down here with Sidrovich and just sell him anything outside maybe artifacts. Though sometimes I'll even sell him artifacts so I can buy equipment. But do what you have to get out of the cordon. The garbage is about the same difficulty as the car park, and seeing as more bandits will trickle in past the military every so often. If you're curious, you can go find them, or you can cross the railroad embankment and intercept them so that the military doesn't have all the fun. That one's your call, but you can basically gauge how well you're going to do in the next area before you get there just by mopping up bandits here. If memory serves, you technically don't have to do the mission to get to the bar. I'm not entirely sure if that's just me thinking of mods, or if that's something you can actually do. But because of who's in the way of you getting to the bar, I honestly don't know. You should be able to get up there. Just right now, make a beeline out there. You may have to pay them, but such is life in the zone. Because attacking them won't get you through. If anything, it will get you killed, and if you manage to kill them all, then you're just gonna have a tougher time at the bar. But I don't think I can give you any more advice without a whole bunch of spoilers or being the encyclopedia. If people leave comments that I think warrant attention, I'll investigate their advice, and if it works out and I think it's not loaded with spoilers or requires you knowing certain parts of the story, I will add addendum videos after this one, just as I either validate or disprove that advice. But until that happens, good hunting.